When it comes to habits, we all have them.
For sure.
We all have good habits and bad habits. What can you say pretty much to the audience when it comes to bad habits?
Studies have shown that it takes 21 days to make or break a habit. So that can be positive or negative. So first of all, framing that out to say, okay, I'm gonna lose weight, or I wanna, whatever the case may be, I wanna stop smoking, or whatever the case may be for a person. So it takes 21 days to make or break a habit, one way or the other. That's the first frame of mind, that we have to look at that focus and say, okay, can I do this for 21 days? That's why so many people join the gym in June, and by March, they're long gone. Because those 21 days, that first, what's the word I want to use? That first, the temporary phase, or I'm lacking the better words.
The honeymoon phase?
The honeymoon phase, or the ambition or the momentum of that 21 days is one part, and then the next segment is 60 days. That's the time period where it's like, okay, I'm doing this. Some days I fall off, some days I do well, some days I eat well, some days I work out, sometimes I don't do anything, sometimes I do everything. 60 days. Then studies have shown it takes 200 days at least for that to become, okay, this is my lifestyle. And so most people fall off within those first 21 days, I would say not because of lack of ambition, but because usually there's a trigger or something in there that's created the mental addiction to either a good habit or a bad habit, one way or the other, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. What would you tell the people that have kind of like a lower mindset, when it comes to their lifestyle, or like low self-esteem, them believing, oh man, this habit of mine, it's pretty much going to stick forever. Once you have that low mindset, you kind of put yourself in a position where your comfort zone is pretty much intact and you can't break it,
Exactly.
So how can you go by, pushing yourself away from that, and, I guess starting off to create a new habit of, breaking the chains of all these negative things that are affecting your life and whatnot?
Here's the thing. Whatever you think of yourself, that's what you are. It doesn't matter. What you think, what you vibrate out there into the universe is going to mirror back to you. Somewhere in there's a wrong belief.
Yeah.
If you can't learn to give it to yourself, no one else will. And so it really comes down to empowering yourself. And most people they want it, they see a better version of themselves, but for some reason there's a missing component there that says, I want it so much and I love myself so much that I deserve this. If you can change a thought, then you're going to change the way you feel, because you can't have a feeling inside of yourself without it first being a thought. And that's facts. That's not my opinion. That's studied, fact, proven.
The scary thing of it all is, what we were speaking about earlier was family, and how family has such a big, pretty much a big influence of how habits work within your life. Either it's, physical, personal habits, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
One habit that, I was, I guess you could say, inspired by was the habit of being in denial always, because of my father. My father's a pastor, and I love my father to death.
Of course.
My father is a man that had a comfort zone. He had a comfort zone that he would try to, portray in my life, in my sister's lives, in my brother's lives, How he would view life is how everybody had to view life.
Right.
So the comfort zone that he had was, we had to follow this, his footsteps of, being religious and all that, which would limit me from doing certain things, not just for me personally, but for my career.
Right.
And also just things in life that weren't necessarily wrong, but it was viewed wrong just because of the religion that, he believed in. It's difficult, you're still at home, you're still trying to figure out life. You have your father, your mother, having you in denial, stuck in that gap, and they're feeding all these things to you just because of their comfort zone and things that they weren't able to achieve. They just because they weren't able to achieve it, they see that you're not going to be able to achieve it.
They say that every statement is an I statement. Like if someone says you can't, what they're really saying is I can't. Yeah. There's this overcast, and it's not necessarily negative or positive or anything in between. It just is what it is. And so first we're born and we're built into that, and we're made to think a certain way, to follow a certain path. But the most important thing is that you know who you are.
Of course.
And that unfortunately, a lot of times our parents do influence so much about what we feel about ourselves or the path that we take. If we say, I want to do this when I grow up, and they go, you can't do that, or you shouldn't do that, or that's not stable, or whatever the case may be. All of that is fear-based thinking. Your happiness, your joy, your fulfillment, your destiny, it's yours.
Of course. The mental stages of habits. It can either lead to either great moments in your life. You know, it can help you either grow when it comes to your personal life, or it can actually diminish the way that you view life. It can actually make things a lot darker than what they usually are. It can make you overthink. It can bring depression, anxiety to you. Personally, me, the same experience going back to my father. You know, not just my father, but just in general, I would see things completely different from other people. And because of that, you know, put me in a hole, and it really made me question myself, question my identity, question my family. You know, why can't I do things that other people are doing, etc., etc. It just put me in a dark place, and those habits carried on with me. I always felt pressured. I had to be someone I was not at church because I was a pastor's son. I had to portray myself and be someone that I wasn't. I was being fake.
A few things come to my mind that I do say repetitively, but they fit. To thine own self be true. So first and foremost, regardless of what we've been taught or what we've learned, and when we're in the thick of that, we're in the throes of that, it's easier said than done. Any culture or religion or group or even pack of friends tend to walk, talk, act a certain type of way. So when you're in the throes of that, it's very difficult to stand apart from that and call yourself an individual because you're following the masses, you know. It's only a thought, and a thought can be changed.
When it comes to your thought and the way that you're viewing things, I learned to cut that off. I personally, till this day, do not know how. I just did it. But yeah, I let go of it. And that was the biggest thing. And that's what really motivated me to actually start pushing forward and let go of these habits of denial, denying myself who I was. And be truthful, you know, to myself. And, you know, start to keep it realer with myself, my family, my friends. And because of that, like I said, I've grown to become what I am today. Opportunities have come when it comes to my career, what I do.
So here's the recipe for change. Are you ready for it?
Talk to me.
Change. The recipe for change is change. So if I get up every day and, you know, whatever the case may be, and I want to break a habit, let's say I'm breaking, like developing or breaking, let's start with breaking. If I want to break a habit, then the first thing I have to do is not what I have been doing. I have to do something different. Whatever it is, it's just replacing that with something positive, you know, because often it isn't even the thing. It's really just about being conscious. And, you know, if you really want to change something in your life, you will. And if you don't, you won't. And if you can get your mind right and in alignment with how you see yourself and what you want, you'll do it. It's really, I wish I could give you this long, you know, reference of what it is, but it's just, you're the magic. I'm the magic. So that's how it is.
Me not wanting to be that person, me kind of like looking at myself in the mirror and seeing what I was becoming through those bad habits, not just that, but, you know, just because of the simple fact, you know, I just didn't like what I was seeing.
You weren't in agreement with it. You weren't, it wasn't resonating.
I feel like that was, you know, what was pushing me. That was what was, you know, what was motivating me. So, you know, everything that you mentioned was fantastic because of the fact that that's something that I feel like in this generation right now, I feel like a lot of people can relate to it.